All right, let's talk about a guy whose life story feels less like a history lesson and more like a blockbuster movie. We're diving into the incredible life of Giuseppe Garibaldi, a 19th century revolutionary, a military genius, and a true global celebrity. This is the story of the hero of two worlds. I mean, just listen to this quote from the historian A.J.P. Taylor, the only wholly admirable figure in modern history. Think about that for a second. In all of modern history, just one person. What on earth did Garibaldi do to earn that kind of praise? Well, that's exactly what we're about to find out. His influence was just everywhere. You've got Abraham Lincoln, who actually offered him a general's command in the American Civil War. A century later, you've got revolutionaries like Che Guevara citing him as an inspiration. He was celebrated from South America all the way to Europe as a true champion of freedom. And all that global fame? Well, that's what got him his epic title, Hero of the Two Worlds. It's a name he literally forged in the fires of battle, fighting for freedom and Republican ideals, first in South America and then back home in Europe. So, how does someone become a global icon of revolution? Well, you might be surprised to learn that his story doesn't start on some grand battlefield, but actually out on the sea. Born in Nice back in 1807, Garibaldi was always drawn to a life at sea. But here's the thing, his travels exposed him to way more than just new ports and trade routes. They exposed him to radical new ideas. In 1833, his life just completely changes course. He meets Giuseppe Mazzini, the brain behind the Young Italy movement, a secret society obsessed with uniting Italy as a republic. Garibaldi was all in. But his first stab at being a revolutionary, well, it was a total disaster. The uprising failed, and Garibaldi was sentenced to death. Can you imagine? At just 27, he's a political exile, forced to flee for his life. So Garibaldi escapes all the way to South America, kicking off a 14-year exile. But listen, this was no quiet retirement. This was the crucible. This is where the sailor was forged into one of the greatest guerrilla fighters of the 19th century. He wasn't just, laying low. He was in the thick of it. He threw himself into local conflicts, fighting for these brand new republics in Brazil and Uruguay. And this is where he really perfected those hit-and-run tactics that would become his signature move. And it was in South America that he met his match, in every sense of the word, Anita Ribeiro. She wasn't just his wife. She was a fierce revolutionary in her own right, an incredible horsewoman who would charge right into battle beside him. They were basically the 19th century's ultimate revolutionary power couple. It was also in South America where Garibaldi put together his own fighting force, a group that would become absolutely legendary, the Garibaldini, or as the rest of the world would come to know them, the Red Shirts. But the story behind that iconic uniform, it's kind of amazing. This symbol of liberty, it had the most practical, down-to-earth origin you can imagine. These red shirts, they weren't designed for soldiers at all. They came from a factory in Montevideo that was making them for, get this, workers in Argentinian slaughterhouses. It's just incredible how something so simple became such a powerful symbol. Okay, so in 1848, Garibaldi finally returns to Italy. He's a seasoned commander now, but his greatest, his most unbelievable campaign was still ahead of him. And folks, this is the part of his story that really cements his legend. 1,000. Just let that number sink in for a minute. 1,000. Because in 1860, Garibaldi set out to conquer the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, a kingdom of millions, with an army of just 1,000 volunteer red shirts. The odds were, well, impossible doesn't even begin to cover it. And this map just shows you how insane their journey was. They land in Sicily, and right off the bat, against a much bigger army, they win a crucial battle at Caltafimi. That victory was like a spark. Suddenly, the whole island is rising up to support them. With local help, Garibaldi and his tiny army capture Palermo, cross to the mainland, and march into Naples, the capital of the whole kingdom, almost without a fight. In this quote from that very first battle, it tells you everything you need to know. Here, we either make Italy or we die. I mean, there was no plan B. In just a few months, this tiny band of volunteers had done the impossible. They'd conquered an entire kingdom. Garibaldi was now the undisputed ruler of southern Italy. So, what do you do after you've conquered a kingdom? If you're Garibaldi, you face the hardest decision of your entire life, a choice between everything you believe in and the future of your nation. Look,
Garibaldi was a Republican through and through. He hated the monarchy. His dream was a unified Republic of Italy. But the political reality was that the most powerful state in northern Italy was a monarchy, ruled by King Victor Emmanuel II. If Garibaldi pushed for a republic right then, it could have triggered a massive civil war, destroying everything he just fought for. And what he did next is genuinely one of the most stunning moments in modern history. The Republican revolutionary made the ultimate sacrifice. At a meeting in Teano, Garibaldi met the king, hailed him as the King of Italy, and just handed over control of southern Italy. He put national unity ahead of his own lifelong dream, refused all rewards, and simply went home. He became a kingmaker. But even though he walked away from power, his story was far from over. In fact, that single act secured his place as an enduring icon of patriotism and selfless leadership all around the world.
And his legacy isn't just stuck in his own time. A full 100 years after he conquered that kingdom, the United States was still celebrating him, issuing these Champion of Liberty stamps. It's a striking reminder of just how enduring his global appeal really was. And his name pops up in some of the most unexpected places. Sure, there are Italian warships named after him, but there are also statues of him in New York City, and the official state fish of California is called the Garibaldi. An English soccer team, Nottingham Forest, wears his signature red. His legacy is truly woven into the fabric of our global culture.
So we're left with this fascinating question. Was Garibaldi a true idealist who sacrificed his dream for the good of his country? Or was he a brilliant pragmatist who understood the art of the possible? What do you think? How should history remember the rebel who conquered a kingdom and then simply gave it away? It's that very complexity that makes him not just a hero, but one of the most compelling figures in all of modern history.